Why, hello. This is Moloko ASMR's first question and answer video. This is very exciting. I should have done this a long time ago, but honestly I've been quite nervous about the whole thing. I always want to impress with my videos, and I would honestly say I'm probably one of the most self-conscious people when it comes to making these videos. And I'd say that's in no small part due to the fact that I am a huge fan of ASMR videos. So I just wanted to lead with that, just to start giving you these tidbits of information about me. Because, to have enough people out there interested in you as a person is flattering, of course. Thank you. I should also start just by thanking especially the subscribers that have been here since, my first year or two. Is my channel like 6 or 7 years old now? At least 6, I know that. I don't know the exact date. I try not to keep track. But I had so many other things I thought I'd be doing, but honestly I'm happy to be back here, right here, doing ASMR videos for you. And I want to do this Q&A video in just as natural a way as I possibly can. This intro is probably going to be the least natural of it all, because still trying to impress, but I'm kind of excited to get to the questions. I just want to thank, once again, those subscribers that have been here for a long time. Thank you so much for sticking around. I'm glad you liked toucans. There's a question on that coming up, by the way. What happened with the original toucan cans? Toucans, yeah. So thanks for asking about that. That's interesting. And, just thanks for sticking around. I remember my first video, quick memory, was a guided self-hypnosis, pragmatic self-hypnosis video. Yeah, it has a bunch of words in it, right, for the title, but and really that was the essence of the way I hypnotize myself on occasion to help me through tough times. And after that, I wish I had a bunch of different types of self-hypnosis to share with you, and perhaps I'll try to commit more variations on that in the future. But it's just hard to come up with ideas for videos sometimes. And that's sort of ironic, because also I have so many ideas for videos, and yet I'm such a perfectionist that I'm afraid to do them. I want to do them well. And, I'm just that self-conscious. So let's get into it, okay? Let's see. We had almost 30 questions total. But, let's see. To start, we have kingsmileyz asks, which video have you done that you're most proud of, or that you like the most, even if that's not the most viewed of your videos? I thought about this for a while, and honestly, it's the last one I did. It's the 2.5 minute pre-Q&A video, and I'll tell you why. Although I have a special place in my heart for like my first toucan video, because that was exciting, just to have something that was my own and something original, even though it was simple. And my first pragmatic hypnosis video that was exciting too, because that was original too. But what's most exciting for me right now is becoming a better video maker. And I felt the last video that I made was more me, believe it or not, than any of the other videos. And I'll tell you why. Because it has the timing of humor that I want. The best timing, like in delivery, in the captions themselves, even though I'm not saying the humorous lines, the captions are well timed, and I put a lot of energy into that. Yeah, it feels most like me. When I'm editing a video, it can be gruesome. Like, it's difficult. So, because I'm very new at it. I'm learning all this stuff just as it happens. I'm very new to this. There's a question on that too. How long have I been making these videos, right? But when I'm editing a video and I'm excited because I'm laughing inside or outwardly even while I'm making it, that's when I'm happiest. And that's what I want to give to you. And I've talked about this in various videos, trying to marry humor and tingles. And other channels have done it in certain ways, but I think we really could benefit as a community to explore different ways to do that. And for me, so far, the closest, the way that feels most like me is using these captions to just lambast myself to death. And once again, there's a question coming up about what I find funny. Okay, so next question from The Real York. Shout out to The Real York. I know you're one of the few that have been here a long, long time. Thank you. Number one, what makes you laugh? There we go. Okay, so it's, if I were to pick like a character type that makes me laugh the most, I would say it's a person who thinks they're amazing. And they might be amazing in a few ways, but then they think they're amazing in ways that they are not. To see them fail miserably, that sort of vulnerability in the face of immense ego, I think is hilarious. I love it. There's this cartoon from way back, made by some of the people that now make Archer, the cartoon. It's Frisky Dingo, made by the same people that started with like C-Lab 2021 or something like that. And in Frisky Dingo, there's this character, Xander Cruz, who's a knockoff of Iron Man, and he's absolutely stupid, but he's full of himself, and he's got a lot of money, and he's got great looks, and he just sucks. He's so dumb at so many things. It's so hilarious. I love that character. Number two, what is something you like to do that other people would probably consider weird if they knew? What don't I do that people would consider weird? I think is a better question. Oh man, you have no idea. You have no idea. I get obsessed over researching strange things that I find very interesting. So I'll share one of them because I've shared it with people lately, and I'm still really excited about it. Okay, so you know, bacteria in your mouth can make bad breath. Well, through a series of mishaps with my teeth, I have since learned to take care of my teeth very well. And through that, I have a regimen that I go through where, especially at night before bed, I clean my teeth in various ways, and of course involving brushing and flossing and a couple other steps to cleanse the area. that makes it so that you, more or less, don't have morning breath. Morning breath free. That's the way I wake up. I'm really proud of that. Effing proud. And I wish that more people knew and would follow this regimen. But, you know, they don't. So, at least I wake up and I test my own breath. And it smells just fine. So there's that. Want to be morning breath free? I'll tell you if you give a crap. Okay, North Gill. I've seen you a lot on here too. Thanks for being around, man. What is your absolute favorite sound? I'm going to assume we're talking about triggers here. Well, first of all, my favorite trigger sound, I would have to say, just aurally speaking, you know, auditorily speaking, is a medical percussion sound. I've looked at so many medical percussion how-to videos. It's great, like especially when they tap on the back and the shoulders and bones. It's the best. They used to use a tool to do this. They put some implement in between your fingers to tap and test how like empty a certain cavity is under your body, or how your bones are, all that crap. But now they figured out after using the implement that you can just use fingers on fingers. So you do like, I think it's in between the section here or here, I don't know exactly, but more or less use that, and then you tap it with your other middle finger. So you go like, and you can hear like the hollowness or not, and you know there's other qualities I don't know about, but oh, I love that. It's so great. Otherwise, is another interesting answer to this. If we're not talking about triggers, my favorite sound is probably, because it brings me back to my childhood and just utter fun, it would be pew pew pew. It's my favorite. It's my favorite sound. It makes me very happy. When I do it, others do it. Love it. Pew pew pew. Yeah, just acting like you're shooting a gun with your mouth, and it's a terribly inaccurate sound, but it's fun. I've always loved it. Number 2, what do you think the world is lacking to be truly happy? Are we saying that the world can be truly happy? That we can attain a utopian, therefore dystopian existence? I don't think that's possible. You know, life has a balance between misfortune and fortune, you know, dark and light, all that crap. But maybe I can talk about what I think most people lack. And, you know, I think it might be most people lack a willingness to criticize their peers and thus themselves. Yeah, I think a lot of people form their view of the world from their peers, which makes sense. That's fine to do that. But then to later not question that and criticize your own views, you know, always question things, I guess, is a healthy thing to do. It might not always yield you the most friends, but you can be a surprisingly excellent person in a lot of other ways. I look for quality, not quality, baby. Quality, not quantity, baby. In friends and otherwise. 3, which food is your ultimate comfort food? Okay. This has to be corn chips, tortilla chips, and salsa. Absolutely. Somewhere in between a mild and medium salsa. I'm so obsessed with this food that one day I up and made my own recipe, and it's my favorite salsa to this day. My recipe of salsa. It's pretty heavy in cilantro, lime. It's even sometimes got a teeny bit of clove. You know, I make it snazzy, and it's lively and just a little more sour on the back end. But nice and spicy. Yeah, good stuff, good stuff. An orange peel. I actually put orange peel in it too. A lot of it. I zest it. Oh, I go crazy for it. I would, if it were possible, to eat just chips and salsa all day long and not destroy your tongue or be like overly acidic and not have enough protein in your diet. And you know, corn isn't that nutritious. Oh, I would do it. I would do it every second of every day. Bonus question: what became of the puerh, Puerh, tea business that you had in the works? Boy, that business went through so many conceptual renditions and then actual renditions. I registered it in a few different names, in a few different ways. I thought first I was just going to be interested in tea and tea blends itself, and then I thought I was just gonna stick with the tea blend, which I did later on, that I sort of perfected, if you will. Sorry, it's just one. I can say I perfected it. Okay, it's just one over the course of like 4 or 5 years. I think I did pretty well at it, and then it warped into, because I was so obsessed with that tea blend that involves mostly puerh and 2 other teas, that I tried to improve the flavor from there. And I started sweetening it and adding creamer of some type, and through excessive testing, for me the best sweetener with it was like honey, and the best creamer was coconut milk, which is part of the reason I'm so obsessed with coconut milk cans and whatnot. But I found out eventually that the coconut milk cans, even though they taste pretty darn good and they're very creamy, that you can taste the interior of the can in the milk. If you're not like baking with it or making it to, taking it to a high degree, high temperature, and it kind of makes it so that you can't taste that, then you can still taste it. If you're not cooking with it, you can still taste the can. That's what I mean. So then I became obsessed with this drink that involves those elements plus many, many others, like easily 15 plus ingredients. I went crazy. And I called it Sweet Jesus, just because it was a good name. And I worked in the kitchen for a while, and I would bring it in, different renditions, almost every day for free, and have the chefs test it out where I worked. And eventually, 1 or 2 of the chefs were just like rejoicing when they would taste it. They really, really loved it. And they would say like, oh, Sweet Jesus. And I was like, that's a good name. And they dared me to do it, and I wanted to. Of course, I never actually did it because, you know, a lot of people wouldn't like that name, unfortunately. I thought it was quite comedic and fun, but I didn't want to offend people, so I couldn't do it. Story of my life in many ways. Yeah, so lots of details on that stuff, man. But yeah, I eventually had a coconut milk business, and that was the last version of it. And I did run that for a couple of years in a farmer's market. And even though it wasn't my target market, so to speak, the town I did it in, I did quite well. But I had to stop because I moved, and there's so many complications. And you know, long story short, it's just a lot of physical labor, and I'm only getting older. Okay, so LeCrenn asks, another question now, are you still making your own tea blends? I loved all the tea paraphernalia in your videos. Thank you. I really enjoyed working at the tea shop I worked at for about almost 3 years when I lived in the last place. And I still enjoy making tea that way. At this new place I have, it's kind of a job, a chore to bring those out, especially now that we're trying to sell this house and use it. So I haven't taken out my tea set yet. I still have it. I still love it. All my teapots, tea sets, and everything. I still do that. And I'm not really making other tea blends, but sort of, kind of. I do definitely buy teas that I think look good, and I sort of theory craft in my head, like how can I make this better? How can I make this? So maybe I'll do something like that again, but not in a professional capacity. That's for sure, because it's so much work and so little profit, honestly. Like, let's put it this way. Your most famous restaurant you've ever seen, no matter how famous and excellent and popular they are, their profit margins are tiny. That's just how food service is. So, you know. Let's see. Carlos GS, one of the most the highest commenters on my channel. Carlos GS, shout out to you. Thanks for sticking around. He asks, what are your biggest realizations in life so far? Wow, these questions are a lot of these questions are really big. I thought about this one for a while too. I actually lost sleep over some of these questions. What can I say? That's the way I am, man. I don't know. I think I picked a good one. I said, one of my biggest realizations in life is that I'm both my worst enemy, which I'm sure you've heard before, but I'm also my greatest ally. How about that? How about that? Did your brain blow out the back of your skull just then, as Jerry Seinfeld might say? I hope not. Stay healthy. What is your background? Another question from Carlos GS. What is your background in audio/video production? He says the content quality is skyrocketing. I'm flattered that you think I have a background. I don't. I'm learning this. That's why I'm failing so hard in so many ways. I would have released another, half more content that I already have if I didn't make so many dang mistakes along the way. I'm trying to learn as fast as I can. And I also have a day job, mind you, that I work like 40 to 50 hours a week. It depends. So I'm really trying, guys. I don't have a background. I have had a persistent interest in production in general, I would say. I have always had a big interest in how things work behind the scenes. I like figuring out how things are really done, how's that magic trick work, stuff like that. Maybe not magic tricks, but other things, especially like film and shows and stuff like that. Lighting even has kind of interested me, not heavily. I've just, when I hear about it or see like behind the scenes stuff, I do take an interest in it. I think I remember it more because I do think about it more often. So that helps me a little bit, but I feel way behind the curve versus a lot of, especially now with COVID-19, there are creators that are just coming out of the woodworks, honestly. And some of these people, for instance, Cap Bailey, I'll reference him later too. He's doing really well. Cap Bailey ASMR. He's used to be a videographer, he says. Lives in Arkansas, and he doesn't have much work right now, so he's just making ASMR videos because he watched them for over 6 years. And he seems to be a real decent guy. He's got real good pacing, great voice. He can improvise way better than me. He's way ahead of the game in these ways, and it makes me sick to my stomach. No, I love that he's doing it. I love the content that's out there, but I get jealous, man. I watch his stuff and I'm like, oh great, how am I gonna but you can't. This is the difficulty when you become an ASMR artist. You start comparing yourselves to the other artists, of course. So for a while you're gonna have to deal with a little bit of jealousy because I feel like I'm behind the curve, but ultimately I understand and remind myself that I am my own person. I have my own style. I bring certain things to the table that he doesn't have. So, just do your thing and try to shout it out, but also appreciate it. I'm trying. Another question from Carlos. When did you learn to beatbox? I feel like it's just a lot of people my age. I was like in middle school in the 90s and stuff, so hip-hop was really popular. Pardon the sounds in the background. I'm going to try not to edit this. I want to be natural. I took an interest in the sound and impact of hip-hop. I wasn't obsessed with hip-hop itself, but it has a great sound, right? So if you put that together with a resourcefulness born out of being poor, well, and not having resources, and wanting to like sort of make a soundtrack to my own life without having instruments, because I don't play instruments, which is a question later on, then all you have is your mouth. And how cool is it to think that you can just make some decent music, at least a couple riffs, with your mouth? That's really cool. In like a hip-hop vibe, on the fly, that's awesome. Yeah, so it just came, man. I'm not a particularly good beatboxer. I can't do a lot of layers. I can do like maybe 3 sounds at a time. I do it way better when I'm not being taped. I'm so nervous when I'm being taped. It's terrible. I was doing some beatboxing earlier today while I was walking, and I thought it was really great. But it also sounds much better in your head, so who knows? I'm not very good. Did you finally, he asks again, did you finally eat the precious original toucans? And he trademarked it. That's awesome. I used to trademark that stuff all the time. I still do. I try and do it every time. The answer is hell no. I'm sentimental enough where they were kept well beyond their expiration date. I still have at least one handy. It's right over there. And I looked at the expiration date earlier today. The expiration date is June 2016, and it's still there. I bought a new can just because I like them to more or less match. They change the design. I'm dealing. They sound great together. That's all that matters. JakeLikesJoking asks, what's your favorite flavor of tea? Have you not been watching this channel? And I'm not sure flavor's the right term, but it's all good. Ripe pu'er. Not raw, but ripe pu'er. P-U-E-R-H. Preferably 10 years or older is my favorite flavor of tea. My favorite tea. It's only made in the Yunnan province of China. And I know that a lot of seedy stuff comes out of China, but, you know, when you attain that sort of taste that I love, it's musky and deep, brawny a little bit. A deep, dark brown comes out if you make it strong, which I do, and you can't find a substitute anywhere else, you accept China. Thank you, China. If you could have one question answered to its essence by an all-knowing divine or universal power / entity, what would that question be, and why that particular question? What? I feel like if I ever came face to face with an all-powerful being, I wouldn't understand. How could I? Our mentality, so to speak, would be so different. I don't even feel like we would be able to communicate. How about that? Like, I'm probably a believer more. If I heard their voice, I would die instantly. Like Dogma or whatever describes. Old Kevin Smith movie, I think. Number 3, what is a quality you like or admire in people that you wish you had or had more of? Well, I'm a man, so height. When you're a tall man, people like you more, people want to promote you more, get more girls, like everything, man. It's crazy. But also, to be real, long-term answer, I'm plenty happy the way I am. Life only gets better, you know. I'm a zany guy, and I have a ton of self-consciousness stuff and borderline anxiety, yada yada. But taller people not only have shorter lives, on the real, but could, in theory, let's get theoretical, because people innately like them and want to promote them, at least have a skewed vision of the consequences of their actions, their ethical nature, and things like that. So they might have a weird idea about who they are, and it may be wrong. How's that for a deep question? I'd probably still take it, though. Like if someone offered me the chance like 10 years ago, like, would you like to instantly be taller and just have no irregular drawbacks? I'd be like, okay, great, sounds good. No, people are gonna be like, what do you have against tall people? Like we're all stupid and we can't tell reality. That's just a theory. It doesn't matter. I know plenty of good tall people. You know, it's just they have an easier time in certain ways. I'm not gonna lie. So number 4, how many people have you told that you experience ASMR, and how did they react to the information? Dude, I want to talk about ASMR to everyone. I think it's one of the most beautiful, excellent, fantastic things in the world. I can be and have been annoying talking about ASMR. But I'll tell you this. Especially in the last couple years, I found that more and more people are aware of it, like it, and admit that they do it to some capacity. Still, I feel like, even though I'm talking to mostly those people, they don't know how to talk about it. It's like in public, they're very self-conscious themselves about this. So in a way, I'm very not self-conscious. Does that make sense? It should. Okay. I scrolled up. What am I doing? What's one thing you love about yourself? Let's see. My want to, after knowing that a person accepts me, to support them. I want to support them and foster a networking relationship between all people that also accept me. Yeah. I have like a modicum of self-confidence issues. So after I know that people accept me, I will try and network all the people I know that accept me, my friends and acquaintances, and help them out. Like I like holding parties for those people, bring them all together, people that otherwise wouldn't hang out together, and try to foster excellent communication between them and acceptance. I think more people should be accepting of more people, more or less. We're all human, man. I don't know. Number 6, do you have, it's the last question from JakeLikesJoking. Thanks for asking, 6. Not a huge channel, this works out. Do you have any questions for your audience? There's possibly one downside, and this it might not even yield any useful answers, but it's worth a shot, right? One of the rare downsides to this rare community, because this community is so positive and encouraging and supportive, sometimes you wonder, what do you people really like? Because when people don't like something, they usually say nothing in this community, which I'd probably rather have than, don't get me wrong, than people being like, this sucks or whatever, you know, because people are getting a lot better at just not watching a video if they're not that type of trigger and stuff like that. Back in the day in ASMR, people would watch a video and say, this isn't my type of trigger, how dare you, which is ridiculous. People don't do that now. But sometimes I just ask myself, like, what do people really like? I feel some people comment, even though I don't get that many comments, they say, like, this was really great. And I feel like maybe it's not as great as they say. Like, I want to know when a person is like, that was my favorite thing, great job, I want more of that, like stuff like that. I don't know. It's not a great question. That's all I got. Sorry. Natural-current asks, what do you do in order to meditate and focus? I think when I meditate, I defocus. I'm always thinking, you know, I heard like earlier today or yesterday that people have 70,000 thoughts a day. I might have more of that. I don't know. I think all the time. It's ridiculous. So when I meditate, oftentimes I try and defocus. Like when I try and keep a certain mantra, like one mantra, I obsess over like, is that the best mantra? And I try and make a better mantra. And then when I think I have the best mantra, then I'm like, that can't be the best mantra. So I try to improve, and then I throw away that mantra. And I have so much angst about that whole process that then I move to a totally different type of meditation or stop meditating altogether. You see the issues here? Yeah. So then he asks, do you play any instruments? My mouth. I play my mouth instrument. That's, yeah. I tried a couple things, and kind of like with the meditation, I obsess about things and then feel self-conscious, and I kind of stop. I did a lot more of that when I was younger. I'm now much better at focusing on certain things. I understand my strengths and weaknesses a lot more in my older age. But yeah, no real instruments. I did try violin for a while. That is not the first instrument to choose. It is difficult. That failed. Where in the world have you traveled besides North America? I was in Canada super briefly. We camped. I wouldn't even count it. I've basically just been in the States. I do have an uncle that's super educated and super ethical and pretty cool to talk to, even though he makes you feel kind of dumb. He's great. He's always said that you should try and travel outside of the States as much as you can to get perspective, and I think that's a very wise thing to do. But I haven't had that opportunity. I don't really have those resources. So what I do instead, thankfully, now that we're in this day and age, is I try and watch videos from people that moved from those countries to here and can speak English. That's a great source of what it's like elsewhere. What book are you currently reading? I am reading The Body Keeps the Score by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, K-O-L-K. It's a book on trauma and how the body, physiologically and otherwise, deals with it. It's a very thick book. Not like that it's a huge book, but you read 2 pages and it brings up so many concepts and makes you think in so many different ways that it's dense. It's a very cool book. Yeah, and it makes you look at trauma in many different ways. Very, very cool. It helps you understand people hugely. What life advice would you give a friend who is struggling to survive during these times? Okay, now this question is very important. So I, on purpose, didn't write anything ahead of time. I just wanted to speak from my heart. So, these times are really challenging people who have maybe put their eggs in one basket, which is not fair, but that's kind of what it's done anyhow. I've had a lot of coworkers and superiors at kitchens I've worked in who all they wanted to do was be a really good chef, and they were great at their job, and they were a boss and everything. And now they're not, as far as I know, they're not doing anything, most of them. Some of them have found a job, but it's not as good as they were, but it's very challenging. I'm trying to think this through. Let me see. Advice. Who am I to give advice? I would say number one, but I don't know. Give a friend who is struggling to survive during these times. That sounds heavy. I would say, don't give in as best you can. Try not to give in to the hysteria. This is a very, very difficult time, and it's very rare. We haven't been through something like this for quite some time. I certainly haven't. But if you don't have work right now, people need purpose. That sounds terrible. For instance, if you don't have work, try and pick up another, if at all possible, like I'm doing, sort of. Pick up another interest that you have. But I think and the bottom line is, it's going to last a while, but it's not going to last forever. This, even if this lasts another 2 years, which would just suck, like, realize that it's not going to be a majority of your life at all. And don't give in to the hysteria. I see a lot of people getting really angry about it and taking it out on others. That's the worst, possibly one of the worst things you could do. Try not to have a victim mentality about this. It's not about you. It's happening to everyone, It's okay. It's not easy for me either. This isn't what I planned, and that brings its own challenges, and it's really ridiculous. And there's things I'd rather be doing. I like doing this right here, but there's other things in my life that I would like to be doing differently. We're all going through this together. Reach out and talk to people. I think that's one of the best things you can do. It's not going to last forever. It's really not. You're going to look back and think, before you know it, more or less, it'll be over. The world may change. We're going to have some different perspectives, but hopefully we can grow from that. Don't take this out on other people, and don't take it out on yourself. Try not to, okay? That was a huge question, and I really tried to answer it well. I hope some of that helps. Do you play any sports? Kind of like the instrument stuff. I don't really play any sports. I do have kind of an interesting anecdote about late middle school. Kickball was really big, and I was afraid to play it. But eventually I overcame my fear of a ball falling from great heights on my face, and instead of just wincing and turning away, I just caught it, and I ended up being like the best outfielder that my class had. They even had this like super, like, how did I word this, like, they even had a like an all-star team in my class, and they named it, because we have no imagination as children, the Fantastic Four. And then there was like the Fantastic Five, and then when enough people wanted to get in, that we had like 6 that were good enough to be in, then we were like, oh no, that can't happen, because then it won't, like, both start with the letter F. So we had to kick someone out to keep it at like max 5, and eventually I got into the Fantastic Five, kicking out, some other kid, and that, felt good. And I caught all the balls that were anywhere near me. It was really great. Not much of a sport, but I had my day in the sun, sort of. After overcoming, okay, I'm good. So I am now switching to misosamurai. Asks, what is your MBTI type? Which I had to look this up. I thought it was Myers-Briggs. It is. I looked this up like way long ago. I don't like to really peg myself as a certain type of person, because I like to grow, but I also think there's kind of nothing wrong if you don't live your whole life around it, maybe, with seeing yourself as a certain way. I think I was INFP. I tested myself a long time ago. I'm like super touchy-feely. I think I looked at it briefly again. I think I'm the counselor, which wouldn't surprise me at all, because I really like mediating and being the peacekeeper and stuff. Just like kind of supporting my friend groups, like I was talking about earlier. I like, yeah. I didn't have a hugely peaceful childhood, so like I look for peace now. I like getting along, and I compromise fairly easily. Depends, you know, but I try. Scott Brown asks, what prompted you to start doing ASMR? I think I relax the beep out of people, like, and I learned that a long time ago. Like I was saying, my childhood wasn't without trauma, I guess, and I had a sibling, and I would relax her when things would go wrong, and she would help relax me sometimes. But I've been told people like my voice, you know, stuff like that. What got you into listening to ASMR to begin with? The role of the ASMR video. I just missed the feeling of personal attention that usually the medical field gave me, doctors, dentists, and whatnot. One day I was just like, it was my late 20s or something, and I was like, what's that feeling? I miss that feeling from my childhood. What's that? And by then they finally found a term for it, ASMR. And so then I searched for it, and luckily there was like 2 people doing it on YouTube. There was more than that, but not many. And I've been watching them ever since. It took me a long time to nail down what type of person, mainly guys, I found out, because I had male doctors, older male doctors, of course. So those are the type of people that mostly trigger me, but not always, you know, women too. I talked about this with, like, on one of my earlier videos. It was like the role of ASMR or something like that. You can look at that if you want to see more. What are my favorite triggers? Personal attention is good, like medical field and stuff. I like being encouraged, told I'm doing a good job. I didn't have too much of that from, yeah, Guardians. But sound-wise, I quite like synthetic wave sounds. And by that, I mean not actual waves. Those don't actually relax me as well as like synthetic wave, made-up wave sounds. For instance, Blue Whisper, she's still making videos. I like her, and she made this one video that's like top 10 triggers to fall asleep to, something like that. And one of them was this big, like, fluffy, I think brown pillow, and she just ran her hands across it, and she put the mic in such a way that it sounded exactly like the wave, like, it was great. I tried to make that same sound, so far mostly unsuccessfully. I'm definitely going to get a fluffy pillow, by the way, eventually. It's still on my list, and try and do it myself. But I tried to do it on like my tablet case or something, and it didn't quite work. Sort of, kind of, not quite. I like lights. As far as visually, I really like lights, as long as they're not like super bright or super big. I'm not really sensitive, but if they're like, then I can't do it. It's too much. And I actually love hand movements. I love like the sensitive, like, hey, what are you doing there? What's that? What's that? What are you doing? I love those, but I don't feel I'm particularly good at role plays still. I'm trying to work into that. My memory is not superb, and scripting sort of stresses me out, but I'm improving, so I definitely will try. Some of you may know I'm trying to work on a cranial nerve exam role play. I think is like the quintessential ASMR video you can have, especially for those who like medical videos. So I'm going to try and do that again with a character that some of you may like. Hint, hint. And what else? Okay, next question. Who are your favorite, this is still Scott Brown, who are your favorite ASMR artists? Classically speaking, Massage ASMR. His name is Dimitri. He's fantastic. It's kind of sad because he's not really posting anymore. I get the feeling that because he's so pro, I do know he has like a Patreon page. He's probably doing just like private gigs. I would be if I were him. He's got the craziest studio I've ever seen for ASMR. It's on a few of his videos. He talks about it with great excitement. He was very much into it. And he alluded that it was very expensive, and it's entirely believable. He spent over $1,000 alone on the insulation goo, not just the regular insulation, the additional goo, like aside the insulation. I don't know how to build things, to further insulate it. It was, that was just an addendum. He didn't need to do that. And it was a whole room, and he has multiple angles he shoots at. It's insane. It's great. Otherwise, Blue Whispers, she's good. Lately, Dr. SRP, he's a natural. He's an optician turned ASM artist. I'm telling you, man, these people are coming out of the woodwork. They already have the professional, like the bedside manner or the like experience in videography, which I don't, and they're just killing it. I don't have these skills. How am I to compete? I don't know. I'm gonna do it anyway, right? I can't really listen to girls that are too high pitch. They're plenty popular. A lot of people / guys really like the high pitch, like girl ASM artists. It doesn't do a thing for me. I usually, like, relationship wise, I go for like tomboys that are girls. But yeah, I just like people that have a I don't know. You don't have to get too much into it, like what I don't like, but what are some of my other favorites? Oh yeah, this guy is sort of kind of blowing up right now, and this is going to help him blow up even more, and I'm going to get even more jealous, but whatever. I mentioned him earlier, Cap Bailey ASMR. WTF is with this guy. Like, I really like him. His style, pacing, seems like a decent guy. Thing is, I want to hate him because of pure jealousy, but I can't. He's just good at what he does. Like, it's all good. Like, fair game. Can't hate the player. Hate the game. I never really liked that, but in this case, I believe in it. Never really liked that phrase. Whatever. I think we're through all the questions, dudes. So, and by dudes, I mean everyone. Hey, ladies, thank you. Overall, I'd say, much like my preference in film and entertainment in general, I'm very sensitive to, and this is speaking more about my preference in ASM artists, sorry. I'd say I'm very sensitive to sound presentation. It's a bit hard to translate, but I know I like negative space, in a way. Just some time in between lines. And I really like imperfections in my artists. I like them to be attractive in general, who doesn't? But I like to see hair out of place a little bit, or makeup that isn't overdone, or just a sense of humanity, I guess. I mean, perfect lighting is perfect lighting. Can't fault that. Work on your light as much as you want. Perfect lighting is perfect. But I like to see humans do human things. If I like catch wind that, like, if I perceive that an ASM artist is trying to put on airs to, like, kind of be flirty or something, I'm no longer triggered. It's weird. I know this works for like almost everyone, but I'm funky like that, man. Like, I like to see a bit of realism. I'm quite drawn, however, to like English girls as far as ASM artists, because I feel like they have this self-deprecation about them. Like, they don't come off as though they think they're hot. Beep. So SHIT. So I buy into it more. You know, who knows? It's just the way they act. I don't really know, right? Yeah, I'm human too. So thank you everyone for sending in these fantastic questions. I am very happy that we put together the questions in under a 24-hour period. I thought that my channel was too small to do that. And really, I'm glad I just wasn't inundated with questions. I didn't want to just, like, be suffocated by too many and have to wade through too much and do too much work. So thanks for that. Yeah, and I look forward to working on the next video. This was a lot of fun. I hope that this natural presentation was enjoyable to you. It was for me. And I also hope that I can sort of carry that through to my next video and not be so darn nervous, you know? Because I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I've heard this from almost everyone. I'm too hard on myself, okay? Let's be honest. So we'll see what happens. All I can do is try, right? Keep it real, guys. Until next time, this is Caesar. Bye-bye.